Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector, and it is a jam-packed weekend, folks. It's Memorial Day weekend. What can I say? The fridge is packed with food. The grill has a new propane tank. We're gonna be grilling it up this weekend, and luckily I was able to get some retro game hunting in. So really excited about that. I didn't really get a lot of footage while I was out out on the road rather. Um, but I am going to show you what I was able to pick up. And me, I'm the type of person that I like to take my own advice. I'm not going to recommend something on the channel that I don't do myself. And as you all know, I've been talking about the PS3 being a great way to go when it comes to adding games to your collection for under 20 bucks. And then also, many of you know that I'm actually trying to collect the Marvel games. As many Marvel games as I can find, I want to add those to my collection. It started off with all the Spider-Man games, but then just quickly morphed into all of the Marvel games. So I'm not going to do too much jabbering or blabbering. I'm going to dive right in. So the first game that I picked out was a game that I had before. And for some reason, I just find myself doing this. I'm like buying back all of the retro games that I sold away. And I found this bad boy at GameStop. This is Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden. This is complete in box for the 3DS. Was glad when I saw this, went ahead and picked it up. I had some points, I think, and some coupons. So this came in right around 18 bucks. So went ahead and added that to the collection. Another GameStop pickup for the PS3. I had never seen this game at a GameStop. Didn't even know this game existed, to be honest with you. But Atelier Aisha, a pretty cool RPG. Now, I'm not sure if this is an action RPG or a turn-based RPG. I didn't really take too much time to really dive into it when I saw it because I was kind of like on a time constraint. So I just kind of read the back. I did have some of the other Atelier games on the Switch, which I actually wound up selling. So when I saw this one for the PS3, I said, you know what, I'm going to take a flyer on this one and check it out. And I went ahead and picked it up. So we'll see what this one has to offer, but added this one to the collection. And then they had another PS3 game that I don't think I've ever seen this one in the stores. This is Tekken Hybrid. So this looks like a hybrid of two games, Tekken Tag, it looks like, and Tekken Tag 2. So both of these on the PS3, it says Tekken Blood Vengeance. So a mixture of Tekken games here, and this is an exclusive. It also, what does it say? Exclusive game and movie bundle. So there's a movie attached to this. So this is kind of unique. I've never really seen this before, like I said, at a GameStop, and I never even knew that like this level of Tekken existed. Now, I did play Tekken growing up. In fact, I had Tekken 3 on the PlayStation 1. I actually wound up selling it. I think I had Tekken 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 1, which I sold when I was selling off some of my retro games. I do plan on getting those back as well. I'm going to get all my retro games back. Forget the Switch. And I'll talk about the Switch a little bit later on in this video because I've had a few folks ask me why I stopped collecting for the Switch, so I'll answer that question towards the end of this video. But did find this there, another pretty cool and interesting pickup. This game also has a little bit of value too. This game is selling between 35 and 40 bucks. So when I saw it there, I said, you know, I'm going to take a flyer on this one and added that to the PS3 collection. And then now we're going to get into some of the Marvel games. So starting with this find, and it's so funny because I guess the employees at the store didn't even realize that they had this game, but they had Thor, God of Thunder. Now, only reason why I picked this game up is for two reasons. One, it's made by Sega, and Sega does make pretty good action games, so I'm not going to hate on that. But two, because it is part of the Marvel Universe. In fact, this one's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try this one out. This game was only 12 bucks. So I was like, for 12 bucks, why not? Check it out. And this is Thor, God of Thunder on the PS4. Pretty cool little Thor game here. Not too much to really say on this one. I don't know how this game is going to play. When I checked out some of the Metacritic scores, it doesn't have some of the best reviews. I've heard the gameplay on this is kind of lame. The controls are a little whack. So we'll see. It is a Marvel game. I'll be adding it to the Marvel collection. So glad to get that one. Then I decided to stick my hand into some GameCube games. So sticking with the Marvel theme, found this copy of Marvel Nemesis on the GameCube. So this was about 11 bucks on this one. So I got this in like a little bit of a bundle with 3 GameCube games for around 35 bucks. So it wasn't bad at all, especially with all of these being complete in box. So this is Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects. This one's by EA, and a very interesting Marvel game. It looks like a cool little action adventure game on the GameCube with 3D action on it. So ever since like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I've been a big fan of these types of like Marvel like action adventure games. So this was one that I added for the GameCube. Then Spider-Man 2, which of all the Spider-Man games that came out around this time that were based on the Spider-Man movies, you had Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3. I've always heard that Spider-Man 2 was the best of that bunch. And so I went ahead and was glad to be able to have this added to the collection. Really good graphics. You know, we all love the Spider-Man games, going all the way back to the PlayStation 1, going all the way back to the Genesis, really. So this was one that I was glad to be able to add there. And then, of course, the original Spider-Man, which isn't really much different from Spider-Man 2, but I just think Spider-Man 2 improves on a lot of the game mechanics that were in Spider-Man 1. This is the player's choice version. I did have both of these games as well, but the thing is I had these both on the PlayStation 2 when I had them. So when I sold off my whole PlayStation lot, these games went with them. But I am glad to get these back, and I am glad to get them back on the GameCube because, again, graphics, from a graphics perspective, the GameCube will be easier to digest graphically. And then last but not least, picked up this bad boy here, Spider-Man X-Men Arcade's Revenge. So this is an interesting one. This is probably the least desired of the Spider-Man games on the Genesis. When you think about Spider-Man versus Kingpin, Spider-Man the Animated Series, Separation Anxiety, Maximum Carnage, there's 4 right there. So this is the 5th, right? Spider-Man X-Men. So you've got like 5 or 6 different Spider-Man games that came out on the Genesis, and I think this is the least desired one. Ooh, sorry, been a long day, but this is the least desired one, and this is the one that I think a lot of people don't really gravitate towards, and because of that, this is a very cheap one. So this is 15 bucks, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt like this is a good 15 bucks right here. I mean, look at that. This thing is like practically brand new. I mean, the manual's in like excellent condition, so someone really wasn't playing this a ton. But this is a really cool addition to have, again, especially now that I'm on the Marvel run. The best thing about picking these games up is that they're all cheap. They're all averaging like $12 a game, $10, $12 a game. So for the price of one of those really expensive 360 games, I was able to add a ton of really cool quality Marvel titles. Some really interesting stuff on the PS3 as well, when you think about Thor, and the Tekken game, and then Dragon Ball Z is always a great one to add. All right, now I'm going to answer that question that I keep getting. You know, a few folks have asked, why did you sell your Switch collection? What games did you keep out of your Switch collection? What was it about the Switch that made you give up the games? So my main thing with the Nintendo Switch, right, is that I feel like Nintendo's ecosystem is, their online ecosystem is the strongest of any other platform out there. You still have NES games that you can pull up through Nintendo and play them on their online store, on their online service. And I feel like a lot of the games that have been pushed out for the Switch they're good games, but I feel like they're going to be accessible for a long time. And I guess just when it comes to the Switch, I'm willing to take that risk and sell, and well, sold, because I already sold them, but I'm willing to take that risk and let those games go to make more room for games that, in my opinion, are more finite. There are going to be less and less complete in box copies of GameCube games and Genesis games as time moves on. Just, from people throwing things away, things getting damaged, a whole host of reasons. And so because of that, I just felt like I had more time with the Switch. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a handful of very unique Switch games. And remember, there are thousands of Switch games out there. So even if you took, I don't know, 20% of the Switch library, that might be what, 600 games? A lot of those games, in my opinion, are still accessible. And I feel like Switch games, it's a lot easier for me to download a Switch game to my Switch and play it, whereas like games like these are not as easy to download. I don't know if I can go and download Spider-Man 2 or Marvel Rise of the Imperfects and things like that. Of course, you can emulate all of these games, but I just feel like retro games are more finite, and so that's the reason why I'm concentrating on that aspect of my collection at this point in time. When I sold a lot of my Switch collection, and again, that was like close to 300 games, not only did I cash out in terms of thousands of dollars, but I was also able to add some really unique things to my collection that I've never had before, including Neo Geo AES with 2 controllers and a game, one of the more classic games on the system, Magician Lord. I was able to add Last Resort. I was able to add a number of Sega Saturn games that I've wanted, and just a number of different retro games that I wanted to have in my collection, just knowing how much more difficult these games will be to they're going to be difficult to find the older I get. And so 10, 15, 20 years from now, who knows where we'll be? Who knows if we'll care about Switch games? Who knows if we'll care about Neo Geo games? But I do know that it's going to be a lot harder to find the older stuff later on down the road than it will be to find Switch games. And then on top of that, like, the last thing that I'll leave you with, the Switch has been popular during like a once in a lifetime event, being a shutdown that kept everyone at home. And anyone who's into video game collecting or just video games in general, you're already hip to the, oh no, I need to keep it sealed. So there's going to be millions of sealed Switch games 20 years from now, because everyone who's watching YouTube now we're all thinking the same thing. Oh, let me keep it sealed, or let me buy one to keep sealed and buy one to play. There's so many people that are doing the same thing that I feel like having a sealed game in the future will not be as rare, because even if back in the 80s people were keeping their games sealed, people weren't talking about it as much as people talk about it today, because there was no internet. There was no place where someone could post a video about their sealed collection and have millions of people watch it. It was really more so something that was kind of kept within the actual gaming community, or it might have just been something that an individual did on their own. And that's what makes finding older sealed stuff more rare, because it wasn't as popularized and not everyone talked about it and not everyone knew about it. And so I think just with everyone knowing that sealed things are the way to go and keeping their game sealed is the thing to do, I feel like having sealed games in the future won't be as rare. But those are just my thoughts. What do I know? I'm just a Y2K collector. Look, hope you're having a great weekend. Hope you get all the grilling done that you want. You get burgers, fries, chicken, steak, whatever it is you eat. Maybe you're a vegetarian and you just get a bunch of roasted corn. Whatever it is, hope you enjoy it. Hope you spend the time with your loved ones, and hope you get some good gaming time in. That does it for me. I'm the Y2K collector. Take it easy.